Hey guys, Funky Music here. Want to go over a few things today as well. I know we're still sitting here in chat. Let's go fly somewhere real quick. This is kind of more of going to be a talking video than it will be anything else. I really want to get. This is a very touchy subject. I kind of want to cover it, and I kind of really don't want to cover it. But I feel the need that I kind of almost have to cover this. A lot of people ask me, a lot of people say that they've seen the best healer on this, they've seen the best healer on that, and yes, in a certain manner, I know I am conceited. I believe that I'm the best Resto Druid, at least that plays here. I was not the best in retail. There were much better Resto Druids than me in retail, but I was the one who came up with a lot of the theory crafting that a lot of Druids end up switching to in retail. I still believe that I used to be first in World of Logs week after week. Not every guild used World of Logs, so it was impossible. And just because you've done a ton of healing, that doesn't go over your survivability and anything like that, which I kind of want to touch on today. And I see a lot of people saying, this and that, what makes a good healer and the best healer. This guy's the best healer I've ever seen. That guy's the best healer I've ever seen. Look, there's a lot more that goes into healing than just having high HPS. I'll be the first to admit it. We use HPS, and I like to use HPS as kind of just a so-so whatever thing. It's fun, it's competitive between my guildmates, and it's something, it's bragging. But beyond that, does it really matter if your HPS is super high? I mean, yes, there is a certain amount of healing that you should probably be doing in the gear and in the class you're playing. Don't get me wrong. So it does play a certain kind of factor, but does it really matter in the grand scheme of things as long as you're killing the boss? No, it does not. So, but let's get into a few other things about why, some other stuff just with Resto Druids in general. You don't see a lot of Resto Druids on this server. First of all, these are some of my binds. This is all the stuff that's bound to my mouse. This is why you don't see any of my heals or remove curse or abolish poison anywhere near me, because I have everything's bound. Yeah, we'll get to that later. Zach, doing a video. Leave me alone. Okay, let's get back to a lot of the stuff you don't see Resto Druids using. What makes a good Restoration Druid? It really does. Druids have a lot of stuff. How many Druids do you see going kitty form? Sprint, kitty dash sprint. I mean, I'm doing that all the time in Raid. It's very important to know that. You want to have your cat form macro. Let's go ahead and just... There's certain macros you can set up, like I could have, my shapeshift is F3. I could set, hit F3 and then have it hit, cast dash or whatever. But mine's just as good. Let's go ahead and get out of form. Let's go to cat. So when I hit F3, so I'm hitting now, right? I go into cat form, instantly dashes at 0, which is my thumb button down here, which I can instantly go into. It's very important that you have stuff like that. You need to have that on your bars in case you need to do something. I mean, travel form, everything you see here. Let's go ahead and look at some other stuff. I mean, even bear form is important. Bear, bash. If your tank's having problems, or you guys pulled the wrong thing, and you want to go into bear mode and bash, and help a tank out or whatever, do it. Go into bear mode, hit it up, get it done. I mean, you guys should have all this stuff bound, even as a Resto Druid. Even as a Resto Druid, it's important to have all this stuff bound. Here's a lot of things in the balance tree. Cyclone. You will see me cycloning a lot. Maybe not so much in raids because A, I haven't done a raid in forever. B, because most everybody I raid with knows their role for Cyclone. But on Trash, you will see me cycloning a lot of Trash. You'll see me in Dungeons cycloning a lot. In Pugs cycloning a lot. You're also going to see me using Nature's Grasp, which is number 9 down here on my Naga. Nature's Grasp is amazing in PvE. That's almost a must. Bark Skin, you gotta have that. I don't use Starfire simply because if I need to pull something, I'm going to use Wrath or Moonfire, which is Shift 1 and Shift 2 on my mouse. Very important to have both of those. You don't see a lot of healers doing that. Hurricane, right here. It's on my bars. I use it all the time. Hurricane, needed for Resto Druids. If you need to pull something, you don't think you might not need, I'm a healer only and blah, blah, blah. No, if you're having trouble, you need some extra DPS. See, in retail, what we would do when we pulled this is a prime example. When we would pull Heroic Professor Putricide, the healers were all before anybody got in the Abomination. There's almost no damage going out because the A-bomb has that AoE tick to it. So while you're waiting for the person to get in the A-bomb and the A-bomb to come to life there, the first 30 seconds, all healers were told to DPS to increase max DPS. So here on Molten, you don't really see anybody doing that. To do max DPS, you should have everyone DPSing until the A-bomb is in, and then you'll go into your resto skill, your healing skills. So that's important to have on there too. Hibernate, Ruby Sanctum. We had to use this in retail all the time. I don't see as many people doing it. The ads in Ruby Sanctum are a joke compared to what they should be. They still are. People think they're hard. They're still a joke. You had to CC them. You absolutely had to CC them. Thorns. That's another one. Throw it on your tanks. A lot of Resto Druids not throwing thorns on their tanks. It's more damage. Yes, it's pathetic. It's also more threat for them though too. You gotta be aware of these things. These small little things do help. Maybe not that much, but you'd be surprised between how close a kill can be. Let's say you wipe at point, and I've seen it 101 times where people will wipe at 0.02%, 0.01%, 0.03%. Those little extra thorns would have done the job. The extra little DPS that healer could have done would have done the job. It really just helps prevent stupid close wipes. I mean, yes, could you potentially still wipe at 0.01, 0.2, yes, you potentially could. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but how mad would you be if you wiped? And I've done it because I've my very first Bane here, long before I joined Aurora, we wiped at 0.01%. Lich King literally had, 10.1, whatever it was. We wiped that. We had 0.1% yet to go, and he had like 300 more health, and he would have died, and we didn't get it. That was so ridiculous. It's like, that's a Moonfire. Like, that's literally, it's any spell that I could have casted, and we didn't get him down. And it's stuff like that you really have to know if you want to be really, really good at playing your Restoration Druid, guys. Just keep that in mind, that you open up your entire spellbook. Use your entire spellbook. I use Shadow Meld almost more than anything, pulling ads, and then I'll Shadow Meld. I mean, obviously Shadow Meld is broke, but I'll pull ad, Shadow Meld to the tank, Shadow Meld when I pull aggro, Shadow Meld if, for any reason that I need to get out of combat, not to res, because I don't believe in that. I mean, you'll never see me do that. But anytime that I need to get out of combat or I need to do something, Shadow Meld is so very important for that. Just keep that in mind. That it is very, very important for that. So really just open up the spellbook. Go through your spellbook, guys. There's a lot of stuff in here that you guys should be using that I don't see a lot of Resto Druids using. Hell, I see Resto Druids who don't even have Remove Curse bound to anywhere to their stuff. I see Resto Druids who don't have Tranquility bound to anything. Like, we don't need Tranquility. GTS with Tranquility really is a really cool thing, especially when Heroism is out. If you want to, your party is taking a lot of damage, it's great. Another thing I see, a lot of raid leaders, and see, we never did this in retail either. They always put the Resto Druid in a different group with a shaman who had, I think totems are only party wide, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, they're raid wide. Yeah, they're raid wide. No, that's right. We'd always put the Resto shamans in groups that needed hit rating. We would always take the Resto Druid. It's the Manatide totem that's party wide, I believe. And we always usually put the Resto Druid in the same group or whatever, whoever needed, or we'd put all the healers together for certain fights that were mana destructive on our mana. But the Resto Druid would usually stand out and go with the tanks because of Tranquility alone. They would not stay in. Normally group 5 is where you would have your healers. This is another little tip, that Tranquility, look at the group that's going to take the most damage. It's the tanks. Tranquility, when it hits, it could it's probably one of the most. That is probably one of the most powerful heals in the game, that you can just really just sit there and you can let it tick, and your tank can be taking swaths of damage. I'm talking he could be taking 40% hits every like 3 seconds, 60% hits, and Tranquility is going to out heal those hits. So that's another thing. If you guys are raid leaders and you're here watching this video, or if you're a Resto Druid and you think that you have more use to your guild, try to get into that group with the tanks. Unfortunately, every time I say in Aurora, nobody listens to me, so usually I end up putting myself there for certain fights, or I just say screw it. But if you're trying to min-max everything, that's something else you want to look at. Another thing for min-maxing, guys, that a lot of people don't understand is professions. Okay? Your professions, min-maxing your professions. You should have no gathering specs. Gathering specs offer less stats than non-gathering specs. That's why I'm enchanting and jewel crafting. I have no gathering spec. I mean, enchanting doesn't really have a gathering spec anyways, but I did have mining, and then I went into jewel crafting and mining together, dropped mining, went and got enchanting. So really important to do stuff like that if you want to min-max. It's just the same thing with blacksmithing and Joe, nice. The same thing with blacksmithing and mining. Mining is going to give you less, especially if you're a tank, it's going to give you less stamina than jewel crafting would, or something else might give you. Very important to know that as well. So if you really, really, really want to min-max, squeeze every little inch of spell power and stats out of everything you possibly can, go dual professions. Don't go gathering spec. And yeah, I just wanted to go over that. There's a lot of things that people really don't understand with Resto Druids, and I try to teach people as best as I can, and I hope people enjoy it and learn. I just want to share my wealth of knowledge before I get too old and don't want to play this game anymore. Hopefully somebody will have learned and carried on, maybe be able to teach some more. But this is coming from my retail experience, and with everything, with, like I said, Resto Druids pretty much being pretty damn near close to retail on here on Warmane, that it is, if you really want to min-max, you want to squeeze everything out of it that you can. If you want to be average, I got no problem with that. I got no problem with people who want to play a certain way, who want to use healing. I got no problem with that. It's when they try to argue that is better that I have a problem with it, because I don't have you want to play that way, you want to be a tank healer, fine. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But don't tell me it's better and you can do more healing than I can, and it's just not going to happen. This is the same. That's where I draw the line at. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good one. We'll see you on the stream.